Can you hear me?
Hi.
Oh my
This is
god.
funny.
Wow,
It's all a trick. Are you making this a date?
this is not a date.
Angelo.
This is not a date.
Date.
Let me just fix this. So I made mine all creepy
Oh,
and
but I
eerie.
you're like,
Date. Date.
There we go. It's kind of.
TTS.
One sec. All right. How are you, my witch?
God, I'm fine. Thanks. How are
Why?
you?
Yeah.
Should I? You know what? I'm gonna take this seriously and take the text to
Love
speech
the life
off.
to make it sexy time.
Out of total respect for witchcraft and my fear that you will turn me into a
People
toad.
going mental in lockdown pretending they can read minds.
No comment.
No comment. You ever met the frog lady?
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Okay, let me face the camera. Is it too dark? Okay, your place looks so like beautiful and pure, and mine looks evil.
Well, you were like dimming the lights, and it was like, oh, I'd have to like draw my curtains. And
That's what I did.
It's
Yeah.
nice. There's a lot of time.
No, I like it. I like it. Turn the effing phone off. No, I like it. Though I had to watch this old lady do tarot cards a bunch, and hers was always bright, and it didn't feel right. But yours feels right. It's very like artsy. I think you got the sickest place. So
Thank you. Well, yeah, no, people definitely do tarot cards very, very differently. Like the woman that's been sort of teaching me, also one of my friends. She does it really, really well, and I'm always like, I'm definitely still like learning to be as good as she is. Like she can make so many connections between all these cards that your mind's kind of blown. Like you can just sit there forever and listen to her because it's really kind of cool and inspiring. But we'll see how this goes today. I just plan on doing like a 3-card reading for you, which is like past, present, and future. But the fun thing, well, whatever, the allowable or permissible thing about it is if there's like maybe the card in the past is sort of confusing or we want to read more into it, you can always pull another card for underneath of that card, which would be like the root of that situation, or another card for above it, which would be like what's ruling that situation. So
okay, so it's not just the three. It's just it's three,
we
but
don't
plus
have
more.
to keep to 3. Like we can add some more as we go if we have more questions. It's funny sometimes, you do a 3-card reading and you're like, I don't want to know any more about that.
Oh, okay. Am I gonna cry?
No, I have seen people cry at like 10-card readings because it describes more like extremely personal stuff about like maybe a situation. But with a 3-card reading, you're less likely to, unless there's it brings something up. Anyway, I don't want to freak us.
No. I almost cried during deep mindfulness today. I'm not gonna lie. I got the mind wanders, right? Joey the bastard just said something I do have to ask. Is that mistletoe, by the way? And something going on here?
No, it's like I wonder if I could tilt this up. It's like a plant that's hanging from a planter. I can't tilt my computer farther than that.
No, okay, no worries. No, sorry, Joey. Sorry to let you down.
It looks like missiles anyway.
You never know. You can kiss under mistletoe any time of the year. I almost cried when Johnny yelled at me today. That guy's high rocket. You're gonna get yelled at again, and a spanking, and a spanking. Can you give a little history lesson on the tarot card or no?
I can. Yeah, it's going to be a little silly though. I don't know. So it started a really long time ago. I think the first deck was called the Tarot de Marseille, and it looks a lot like playing cards. Like tarot used to be used, I think it was the 1500s, and it was Italian or Spanish, something like that. And people played cards with them but would also use them to like kind of tell stories at the same time. And it wasn't until basically there was this whole occult resurgence at the beginning of the 1900s, where people were getting I'm gonna have to make it really condensed. Basically, there was a huge resurgence, and we got the deck that we're gonna be using today, which is called the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's probably the most popular one, like the one that everybody knows of when you show a photo of it. And the artwork was done by a woman named Pamela Coleman Smith, who is really, really neat. I could talk about her forever. But her paintings and her art are supposed to be stuff that you can meditate to or like zone out to. And so when Rider-Waite was trying to find an artist for this deck, because he was sort of an occultist who had all this knowledge, all this sort of occult knowledge, he found Pamela and really liked her work. And I definitely encourage you, if you like already her tarot cards, to look up her other stuff, because it's really beautiful.
I'm digging it so far. And when was this? Wasn't back in the day, right? Or was this back in the day, or?
So, like, yeah, this deck, I believe, came out in the, like, 1905, 1911, something, like, early 1900s. And so we're really lucky to have it today, because people, like, she was a poor, Black, potentially queer woman. Like, it's very, and obviously the deck isn't named after her, so there's a whole bunch behind that. Yeah, it's really cool. And now today, I mean, there's tons of different tarot decks. You can get, literally, you can pick like your favorite TV show. There's probably a tarot deck with all the characters on it. Like, it's become like, not, and I don't mean this word badly, but like commercialized and really accessible is really what I mean by commercialized, which is awesome. It's really cool because as a society, we're dealing with different ideas and themes than we were in the 1900s. So the tarot art should maybe reflect that a bit more.
No, that's interesting. I want to get the Frasier one. That would be...
If there is a Frasier one, then I want that. You're right. I want like a.
We could actually make some bank. We should do that. Oh, we got to get the rights for it. But I think that's really impressive, because you mentioned the community that she was a part of and potentially a part of. Things ain't so great in 2021 for a lot of people like that. Can you imagine 1901? So
yeah, I mean, she was pretty badass. She was an occultist for a long time, but then at the end of her life, she reformed and became a Christian. But she lived alone with not alone. She lived with a woman companion for the rest of her like years on Earth. So it was like, that's fine. Like, you did you know, you had a long life. So she's an interesting subject.
I think a lot of people become Christian at the end because they're just hedging their bets. They're like, okay, wait, all right, we'll see what happens. So I think I'll be, I think I'll be extra Catholic when I'm that age.
I mean, I can see that for you. I can see you being like, what's gonna be the best thing for me to, I don't know.
Well, I guess I personally think Islam is probably the right answer, because there's that just based on numbers and coolness. But you can't pick all three, because you can't get up to the kingdom of heaven and be like, yeah, I was all three, right? So you got to pick one. I'll probably just know it because I like gold chains. But I like this occultist stuff, though. I'm down. You know, I've done some stuff. The bread, you saw the bread stream. That's isn't that kind of occulty?
It is. It definitely is. There's a lot of like, just like little things. Like all of the world has sort of been Christianized at one point, but when we look back at like sort of the pagan original people from every place on Earth, a lot of those pagan mentalities or superstitions or like little rituals, if you will, have held through till today, and they change culture to culture. So.
They prevail.
You're not wrong.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump into things.
Okay, so I'm going to start shuffling, and at any point you can tell me to stop. I would definitely give me at least 5 to 10 seconds to actually shuffle the card. Yeah, I'm going to start shuffling now.
now.
Okay.
And Angel wants to know if, I know I think you mentioned it before, but what deck are you using again?
It's the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. It's arguably the most universal tarot deck. I have some other ones, but I think this one is better for, especially the first time I'm like reading cards for people, because I think those of you who have even seen like one or two of the cards, like the Death card or the Fool card, then it might be more interactive for everyone.
Yeah.
This is using a more unique one that actually changes some of the. I'm going to nerd out here, but it changes some of the original meanings of some of these cards. Like this is sort of seen as the traditional deck.
That's not a good sign right there. Oh my god, I gotta blow my nose. I gotta blow it. You know what? I'm so scared that you're just gonna pull out 3 Fool cards for me.
Oh my god. Well, I would be scared at that point. I don't.
It's going to happen. It's gonna happen. All right, once I had to blow my nose.
Okay. Oh god, now I'm on stream one. I mean, the Fool is also like not a bad card. Like obviously it depends what context you're pulling it in, but in general, it absolutely does not mean it's bad. And this is all made up. Like these are all just like ideas and themes that we all sort of deal with. Like none of this is something that anyone would be able to grasp. So yeah, we're having fun. Yep.
We're not going to hell for this.
No, well, and I think people tend to think that like, anyway, with the resurgence of all this stuff, some people take it a little extremely and intense, and I could definitely talk about that for a very long time because there's a whole lot of other things at play there as well. Like, yes, it is all made up and we're just having fun. So why do some people take it so far? That's a thesis statement for another day.
I could listen to you talk for hours. That's because you're interesting. I'm not hitting on you. I like your earrings, by the way. I wanted to get my ears pierced and do a cross to match this one, but it might be a little too midlife crisis-y for me.
Oh, do these look like crosses? I've had that before.
I thought it is.
They're like little. They're like. This sounds so lame now. They're like little daggers, but everyone
cool,
thinks they're crosses. But maybe I should like not wear them anymore for that reason. Not that.
A good Catholic girl like you? No, I think now that you said that they're daggers, they look like daggers. That's very cool. All right.
Okay. You ready for the first card?
I am. I'm scared.
I'm scared too. I hope it's not something really awful. Like that's always the worst. Okay.
It's gonna say something bad.
In the past, we have 6 of Wands. And so just so, I mean, I'm sure some of you already know this. It's a 78 cards in the deck, and 22 of them are major cards, and the rest of them are sort of what we call pip cards. They're all, it's like 12 cards in 4 suits. So it's exactly like playing cards. So this, when I say that this is the 6 of Wands, it means it would be like saying the 6 of Aces or whatever, with like a traditional playing cards. And then each of the suits means something. So we'll get into that. So that's in your past. Your present is a major card, which is the Star, which is really cool.
Yes! I'm a star. How could I not shine?
Wow. Okay. And then your future is another major card, the Empress.
Oh, wait, that means chick.
Well, not necessarily. If it was like the Queen of Pentacles or something, I would say yes. If it were the Lover's card, I would say yes. With the Empress, it's not necessarily about... With a lot of these cards, it's not necessarily about a person coming into your life. So I think I would start at the beginning with this. It seems... So in your past, we've got someone... This is sort of supposed to be like celebration or victory. It's supposed to be like... this card's supposed to traditionally symbolize someone coming back from a battle victorious. I keep holding it up. I'll put it down. And when we look at the pip cards, like the suit cards, the minor cards, which you've only got one of here, which is pretty wild, because obviously there's more of the pip cards than the major cards. It's interesting. It shows me that like bigger things for you are happening now and in your future. Right?
Yes.
Or like at least major cards are supposed to be like steps that people experience on their way through life, or like like passing through various like conscious levels, like things that we would work through in our natural lifespan. So it's interesting. It definitely means you're at like a bit of a turning point, and victory in the past maybe is propelling you towards that. That's my sort of reading of that.
Could it be like can you like, so say like, well, everyone knows my situation, but maybe it can, because it's going as a turning point for something better, does that mean I'm going to come out as more victorious, or is that like maybe a defeat that I can reinterpret as a more of a victory? You know, a strategic retreat.
I think probably the second thing. I think I would try to see what about the change has made you feel like you're moving forward and like you're being uplifted. So what if, because this card really indicates you're not alone, right? Like you're with a whole bunch of other people who are riding with you, right?
Johnny Now community. Johnny Now community.
Yeah. So I think that I would look at what, I mean, this is such a lame piece of advice, but like, what are the positives that came out of that situation? That feels pretty obvious. But I feel like these other cards are less obvious. So in the present, we have the Star, and the Star is a really interesting card. I never interpret it how I feel like maybe people traditionally interpret it, which, like, so this person is a divine, it looks like a divine woman, and she is pouring water both back in to the lake or the body of water, but also onto the earth as well. And that is sort of like, that's somebody who's at one with all of the sort of elements or the things that are around them, which, I mean, I think the Star is always a little bit more aspirational than something that's concrete. Even if we just think about stars as they are, they don't live forever, and they are very ethereal, and the sort of storytelling that we as humans just have around the cosmos is ethereal, and it's not concrete ever. But I think that it's more of like a feeling and a mood, and like, to be a millennial, like a vibe. It's feeling at peace with what you're doing, and it's, the Star is interesting because it is, I think before it is the moon, or after is the moon, and the moon is sort of all like trickstery and illusions. And I think that while that sort of stuff can come after or before the Star is someone who's really, it just indicates to me that you're trying very hard and things are working, but you're also testing what's not working. That feels like a very generic answer.
No, that's like spot on. That's spot on. I'm trying very hard, testing what works, what doesn't. I mean, I got up and ran today. That worked. Then I yelled at the chat.
That's really good.
Yeah. Then I yelled at the chat for 3 hours. That didn't work. So it's like, no, this is actually kind of, I know I'm joking around, but like, this is kind of freaking me out. Not going to lie. Cause I definitely.
Well, just remember that all of this is like, again, it's a little generic. We're only doing 3 cards. If we did 10 cards, it would start to get more freaky if it was really spot on, because there's more to interpret. And all of this is part of the human condition. You're not alone. The reason these cards are here is to help us more like think a better situation from a different perspective. Sometimes all it does is reiterate your own perspective, which sometimes, I mean, that can be really, it can feel good, but sometimes I want that different perspective. So anyway, This is all more information for the chat than maybe per se for you.
Yeah.
The Star is typically seen as like healing and moving on and completion. I don't feel that's really the scenario here. I mean,
really?
Like maybe, but completion, like I don't know about that.
No.
The Star is like an active figure doing things, and there's another card called Temperance where the person is both pouring water out at the same time, and that to me is like a movement and a balance. It's not a completion or an ending.
No, that's actually, yeah, because I definitely, to apply it, I don't think I'm completing, or I'm in like a stage of completion.
Right.
Before I met my wife, I thought I was incomplete. Now I know I'm finished.
Right. And I think
that's a Rodney Dangerfield joke. That's a Rodney Dangerfield joke.
Okay.
I
I think genuinely, like if you go through a breakup that's extremely difficult. That person meant a lot to you. They were there through important parts of your life. There can be
It's quoting
a
Dangerfield.
sort of there can be a victory or a reclamation period where you realize that like you are the center of your own universe. Like, yes, that person might have been there to facilitate things, or they might have really helped you see things about yourself you didn't know, or helped you grow or learn. But like ultimately, you are going to grow and learn that stuff regardless. And it's very nice to think that this person, like, put them up on a pedestal, if you will, as we often do with significant others or previous significant others. But there is a celebration when you not move on, but you get the first feelings of moving on, which is that confidence in yourself again.
Hell yeah. Okay, I'll say it one more time so you can get it. Before I met my wife, I was incomplete, but now I'm just finished.
Good one.
No respect.
You need to like do more nervous tie adjustments for Dangerfield.
No respect from anyone. My whole life, I don't get no respect.
Oh, you're doing a sound.
I can't take it no more.
Oh, you can't hear it. Yeah, okay. I was doing Dangerfield. That's really hot, by the way, that she knew knew to do the tie thing. By the way, all you young kids at home, take note. But yeah, no, that. It was a very good point.
So, thank you. The future is, I mean, okay. The Empress is sort of, so she comes after the High Priestess. So the first card's the Fool. The next card is the Emperor, and then it's the Hierophant, and then the Emperor, and then the Empress. So this is actually the fourth card in the deck because the Fool is technically card 0. So she's supposed to represent the more like, this is so gendered. She's supposed to represent the more like benign, accessible side of femininity. So sort of like all the good things that would come about with like a divine queen ruler, but there's also some interesting symbolism. Like she's got all this fruit on her dress, which tends, like when we see a lot of fruit in this deck, it typically means the lushness of like practical things like earth and pentacles and stuff. So like literally what you can physically accumulate while you're here on this earth. And she's sort of ruling it with utter contentness. There's also, I don't know, there's just so much in the background as well. Like there's a whole river, there's a field, and there's a forest. It's a lot of balance. It's a lot of ease. And I think it's actually the card out of this whole reading that I have the most questions about, because the Empress tends to be a card that doesn't say a whole lot to me. And I wonder if it's potentially when these cards were coming into being, they were extremely gendered and they had a lot to do with hierarchy and stuff like that. But it's definitely like a quote unquote good card. It's somebody who is in a position of power, and they're secure and they're stable, and things around them are growing, like absolutely growing. There's nothing bad is happening here per se. I would definitely, I don't know, if you want, I would pull another card for that card because I want to see what's underneath it.
No, I think so too, because that's the only, when you first pulled that one, I was like, this is gonna be, wait, don't judge me. I have to pee again though. It's fucking,
no, that's okay. You know
fucking
what?
container. So wait, I'm gonna ask a question because they're loving it. Drop us some more facts about some tarot cards right now. I'll be 10 seconds, but I do want to talk more about that one because that's the most confusing one. But first off, I'm never drinking out of this thing again. I've been peeing nonstop.
Really?
Yeah. So
yeah, no, that's the problem with hydration.
they think I'm gonna go cry. I'm not going to cry. So 10 seconds. Tell them about the Empress with the fruit.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to keep talking about the Empress card because it's really one that I'm not as great on. But if you are interested in tarot and like everyone I know has a reference book. My teacher has a reference book, and the reference book is this one, which I'm about to recommend. It's called 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, and she's been doing tarot for like, I don't know how many decades now, and every single tarot enthusiast I've ever met like swears by her. Her book is just very beautiful. It's very accessible. It doesn't matter if you are religious of a different denomination. Like, she goes into all other religions. It's very beautiful. It's very permissive. And I find myself like pulling it right now because I want to refresh myself on the Empress. And basically because it's also, the major cards, like I said, are steps in life. And she's only the third, or technically the fourth step. So it's a very, when we look at the two major cards that have been pulled, this one comes a lot later in the steps in life, but it's the present. And this one comes up very quickly in life, but that's the future. So that's something that's very interesting to me, in that I don't know if the Empress is necessarily, it just seems like a really benign card right now. And that's why I want to pull another card.
Okay, I'm glad, because I can't actually apply that. I can't see the other two. I can make like a strong connection to my life. With that one, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll be a woman in the future, which is true. You never know.
No,
like,
I think it might be symbolizing potentially some of your, because you've talked about wanting to like settle down, right, and like have kids and stuff. And I do wonder,
because interested at all, or no? I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's I'm not going to do that anymore.
So derailing.
But a part of this. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, but I want, that's interesting that you said that, because I do talk about that a lot. But then a part of me also wonders if it's just like I feel the external pressures of like, because I'm 32, I'm an old bag now, right? And I'm all my friends are getting houses, and all the, like, a lot of women my age too are like, fucking time to settle down, buddy. If you want to hang out with me, no hookups on Tinder, right? So I wonder, like, do I want that, or is it?
I think it's what you think you want for the future. It's what your current goal is right now, which is somebody who is domestic, live their home, like this part, like they're the reason they're surrounded by so much lushness is they're like fertile. It's like it's got a lot of like traditional female stereotypes in it, which I'm not saying are bad. Yeah. It's just like, a thought exercise.
But it wouldn't have anything. There's no connection to maybe that. Could it be that like this is something I'm fantasizing about, but is more just because of external pressures? Because I see it as like,
so that's something only you can answer, right? Like I think right now what it's trying to say is that the future, and the thing also about tarot cards is the future cards. Like there's so many different. Like I said, there's another 10 card spread, and there's a position that's called future. It doesn't mean that that's like. The concrete future. It means like if things continue the way that they're going now, this is a most likely outcome, or this is an outcome you should consider because this is what you are thinking or putting your energy into right now, or whatever.
No, fascinating. Now I know you'll get this reference, but do you remember the episode in season 2 of The Sopranos where Tony he's disassociating because he's upset about his friend Pussy being lost? And he meets this Empress across the street, or the neighbor, Kusamono's house, I believe. And she goes, I'm taking care of the house while they're gone, or I'm the cousin or the niece or something. And she's
like the ideal Italian woman.
Yeah.
And then when he talks to his therapist, when he finds out she's not real, she's like, well, did you ever think sexually about her? And he goes, no. And he's like, well, she's beautiful, but she's like, did you ever do anything with her? And he goes, no. And she's like, well, I think you have a bit of a like Madonna complex here. Like, that's an interesting.
Well, I'm just wondering if like, am I doing a Tony moment where I see that Empress with the fruit and the fertileness of her, and is it this like, almost, instead of like thinking of the future, it's more of, I view that as Tony's looking for a mother. But
well, I mean, that's Tony Soprano, remember? Because like his mother was literally like a nightmare and was never really like a good mother to him. But I think that's a good question for yourself.
I know this is actually okay.
What tarot can do.
I used to give a lot of shit for tarot cards because a lot, listen, I've had a lot of girls in my life use them just to break up with me. But this is great. Like, this is actually great.
It's fun. I mean, I think I'm someone who overthinks things, but in the same like way, not in new ways. And I find tarot can be really helpful for that. And yeah, that's all it is. It's just trying to help you. It definitely isn't really predicting anything, but if you can pick up, because we as humans like to create patterns even where there aren't any, and tarot is something that lets us lean into that for a moment. It lets us be permissive and go, okay, sure, for a moment I'm gonna just think about everything. Even though, yes, it's not, you know, I get people who get really hung up on like the validity of it, and it's like, well, we're all just making stuff up as we go along too. Like
Exactly.
and that has to be okay at some point, sometimes, not all the time.
It's like we talked to deep mindfulness, and it's funny that we did the meditation today, and he was talking about letting go of these stories we tell ourselves, and then here we are leaning into them, which is great too.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, we're always gonna have. You definitely want to like break down the stories you tell yourself about yourself, like definitely. But there's also like you can't just deny yourself everything too. Like you have to. I don't know. For me, I guess I would say.
No,
it's helpful.
Well, he also brought up another point where I asked him if essential oils were BS, and he said, well, like there's no real science behind it, but placebo works. So if it like works for you, if you put it, like it doesn't cure cancer or some shit, but like if you put like a diffuser up and it makes you calm and feel good, then does it work? It fucking works. But let's pull a card on that one, because that one's gonna keep me up tonight.
Okay, do you want to see what is ruling the Empress or what the root of the Empress is, or both?
Can I do both? You got time?
Can do both, yeah.
I actually can't choose. I'm trying to be more assertive.
Which card do you want to do first? Do you want to do what's ruling it or what the root of the card is?
I want to know what's ruling it first.
Okay, great. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull what's the root as well, just so I have it all in front of me.
Okay.
Yikes. Okay, the cards don't want you to know, basically.
Fuck.
Okay. So, because you got another major card. Okay,
Yes.
so what's ruling? That's not necessarily always a good thing.
Everything I do is major.
Well, because the major cards don't always, like we're having with the Empress, it doesn't always lend itself to a clear-cut answer, particularly the card you pulled. Okay, let me get to it. So the first card that's ruling the situation is, this card is made into a meme. It's the Four of Cups, and cups are they're like the suit of emotions and wisdom and intellect. I mean, so air is a little bit as well, but I mean, it's a lot about the emotions of the heart, basically. Cups, water. And in this card, it's sort of, I don't know, my teacher always makes me laugh. She's like, how many cups do you want? Because you just keep getting given them and you don't want them. So like something is up there. You know, you have what you want, but you're not interested in what's, maybe you're getting too much. Okay, yeah, maybe you're drinking too much water, but like also maybe life is handing you too much emotion or too much stuff that you don't know what to do with yet. And I think that's interesting that is, it sort of says to me indecision always. Whenever I get the Four of Cups, I get sort of like an indecision or like a stubbornness feeling. And I think that's really interesting that is what's ruling. I mean, for me, when I see this card ruling your Empress card, I think that is society, like kind of putting pressure or trying to keep giving you something that maybe you're not sure if you want, or you're still figuring it out. And that's why I kind of reacted like that. So I was like, oh, that's a interesting, like those cards definitely go together based on what we've been talking about.
I was saying what we just talked about too.
Yeah.
But societal pressures.
Are you ready for the root?
Am I gonna have a heart attack?
No, you're not. Okay, it's a reversed card, which all a reversed card means is it's upside down. And often people think a reversal is just a complete opposite meaning of what the card originally means. Sometimes, but overall, the best way to think about it is you're looking at that card through a glass darkly. So it's like a muted version of what that card originally meant. However, this is like the one card that I have an exception with because it's the Wheel of Fortune. So you're kind of able to look at it from any particular angle and it still kind of looks the same. It's definitely one of the cards with the most amount of like occult knowledge. Like most of this can't be explained unless you get into Jewish mysticism and stuff and like have an hour to sit down and talk about it. But the Wheel of Fortune is something that we all know. Like the wheel will turn, right? Like we see wheels and everything. And it basically means like it's just time moving forward. It's just the luck of the draw. And what's ruling that situation is you won't know till you get there. Like it's a bullshit card. Whenever I see the Wheel of Fortune, I'm like, fuck this, because it's basically the card being like, shut up and wait. Like you don't get to find out now. You have to wait for the wheel to turn. You have to wait for time to progress. And so if that's what's the root of that situation, it's trying to tell you that, well, or like the thing that the spread is indicating that maybe you want to think more about, is that your feelings surrounding maybe wanting what the Empress embodies, you're not going to know until you just keep moving forward.
That's
like for now,
exhausting. It's I thought we're like, I'm so glad we pulled the cards there because we nailed it with what's ruling over the Empress, where it's like, oh, maybe it is, because, and it's so funny. I asked her, I'm like, is it just societal pressure for me to have kids and an Italian wife and like Tony Soprano, and you're like, well, I don't know, let's see. And then it was like, look at society is giving you these cups you don't even want. So I thought I was like, oh wow, nailed that one. And I'm like, well, let's find out.
Society, it could also be you giving yourself, like, not necessarily, but you keep, maybe you're in certain situations and you're like, no, like, I already know how this is going to go. Or it's sort of trying to challenge old beliefs a little bit, I would say, or like the refusal to challenge old beliefs. That's sort of what I see, because this person, I don't know. They're just their arms are like, the body language is clear always for me in this card that person is not ready or not interested in doing something different about that. And that is always like a little bit of a warning sign for me of like, maybe we want to look at the things we're assuming. Assuming are all true.
Another thing to consider. But I love that the Wheel of Fortune card came right under, where it's just like, oh yeah, those answers you're looking for? Well, fucking wait, bitch. Like, it's just like, good luck.
No, when I pulled that, I was like, oh, that's a bitch move. Because you got 3 majors, and yeah, it's a lot going on. It's also very emotional. It's very quick. Like, you have no pentacle cards here. And Pentacle is like the Earth card. It's like the material possessions. It's, law and order in your actual physical life and stuff. And there's nothing really grounded here except for the Empress, except for the future. Like the Empress is a very grounded card to me. So I think that is also very, very interesting.
Well. God damn.
And that's that.
I think I gotta shut the stream down. Go have a moment.
No.
I got a lot to think about.
Man.
I got a lot to think about.
I know. I agree. I've done some spreads before for people where I just wrote out what I was saying for them because they were like, oh shit, like I'm just like on my phone on the train or whatever. And it's funny.
I think that's awesome. Well, I think we just proved or came up with your concept for your stream. I think you're a natural.
I know, I feel like I could, even if I did like 1-card readings, although 1-card readings are typically harder because it's like, what are we talking about here? You know what I mean?
No, you like,
yeah.
Get people in the chat to call in, or get your friends to call in, and you're a natural at it. I mean, you're not scared at all. You're on Twitch here in front of one of the biggest communities on Twitch.
I should be more scared. I don't think I know everything as well as I think I do. So
confidence is key. But then you'll get people calling in and correcting the record. And I don't know. I think this is great. I would also love to make this more regular because we do Mindful Mondays here. If you'd like to call in, maybe every second Monday or every Monday if you're free. You probably working.
Well, I won't be free on the weekdays, but I could probably. I mean, I'm off for another like week and a half, so I.
So let's do this again. Should I tell people to follow you now because you're going to start your streaming career? I mean, look at the aesthetic. Look at the background. I think you've got a future.
I'm excited.
It's pretty effing cool.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always fun to read cards. It's fun for me too.
Push has a life, Johnny. Okay, I was just trying to promote her channel, you dog. Not you. That's the guy in the chat. Who is living unconsciously? Because they are living unconsciously. We'll figure them out. Okay, well, that was awesome. I need a moment
Thanks,
now.
guys.
Can I get a booyah in the chat for our friend Push? Let's push the sky away to you guys. No fucking booyahs?
Thanks, guys.
All right, later, Push. You're the best.